The night had been long, and the city was still awake in its restless rhythm. Neon lights flickered against glass towers. Taxis weaved through narrow streets, and in the middle of it all, Richard Caldwell, a man the newspapers called a self-made millionaire, pulled open the door of his sleek black limousine. He sank into the leather seat, loosening his tie. Another night of business dinners, deals, numbers, and hollow laughter. But tonight, something was different. The air inside the limousine wasn't empty. It carried something else, something fragile. Richard heard it before he even shut the door, the uneven sound of a child's breathing. And then he saw her, a little girl, 8, maybe 9 years old, skin the color of polished mahogany, braids framing her face, and eyes too heavy for her age. Her clothes were worn, her shoes dirty. She didn't belong here, yet here she was, sitting in his car, as if she had nowhere else left to go. Richard froze. What the? How did you get in here? Driver! But before he could finish, the girl raised her hand. Small, trembling, but firm, and she looked straight into his eyes and said, "Shut up." The words sliced through the silence like a blade. Richard's hand froze. His mouth went dry. Nobody, not in years, had dared to speak to him like that. And yet this little girl had done it, without fear, without apology. Her eyes burned with something deeper than defiance. It was pain. It was exhaustion. It was truth. Richard leaned back slowly. His anger dissolved into confusion. "Do you even know who I am?" he asked, softer now. The girl stared back. "I don't care who you are. You don't get to talk. Not right now." And for the first time in decades, Richard Caldwell felt small. He swallowed, his voice hesitant. "Why are you here?" The girl shifted in her seat, tears glistening in her eyes. Her voice cracked, but her words were steady, because there was nowhere else to go. Silence. The city moved outside, horns blaring, lights flashing. But inside that limousine, time stood still. Then, with a shaky breath, the girl began. "My mama, she worked all the time, cleaning houses, offices, always gone. But she said it was for us, so we could eat, so I could go to school. She was all I had. But last week, she came home real tired. Said her boss yelled at her, said she wasn't fast enough. She cried. Then she got sick, real sick. And when I called for help, they said she didn't matter enough to send anyone fast. They took too long." Her voice broke. A single tear slid down her cheek. "She died. She died." Her words thundered in the quiet car. Richard said nothing. He folded his hands, nodded slowly, and, for once in his life, listened. The girl looked at him, testing if he truly understood. Then she whispered, "I didn't come here because I wanted to. I came here because I was tired. Tired of people not listening. Tired of people not seeing us. So I got into your car, so maybe you'd finally have to see." Her words pierced him, and for the first time in decades, Richard Caldwell, the untouchable millionaire CEO, felt the weight of someone else's truth pressing against his heart. And in that limousine, on that restless city night, the world began to shift. Somber, reflective tone. She said it flatly, her voice carrying a warning. This wasn't permission to ask more. Softly, with hesitation, "Aaliyah," he repeated, almost whispering her name, tasting the humanity in it, as if it tethered him to a truth he had long ignored. "I'm sorry about your mother." Child's voice, sharp and defiant. "Sorry doesn't bring her back." Narrator, low and heavy. Richard nodded, shame rushing through him. He had said those same words to grieving employees before. Neat condolences that cost him nothing. But here, before this little girl, sorry was hollow, and she knew it. Stern child's voice, unwavering. "You live in your big house, with your money, your cars, your fancy clothes. You don't know what it's like to be us, to hear people talk about opportunity when all we get are doors slammed in our faces. My mama worked herself sick, and they still treated her like dirt." Her words cut him open, because deep down, he knew, had he been one of those people slamming the doors, he had never thought twice about the lives beneath the skyscrapers he built. Success meant merit. Poverty meant failure. At least, that's what he told himself. But Aaliyah's blazing eyes shattered that illusion. At a red light, Richard saw a man in rags, pushing a cart piled with bags, his face hidden beneath a hood. For the first time, Richard wondered about him, his story, his family, his nights spent unheard, unseen. Child's voice, cutting in. "Do you even know what it's like to be told your life don't matter? To scream for help and nobody listens? That's what it's like being black where I come from. We shout, but it's like we're invisible." Narrator, slow and guilty. The stones of her truth settled deep inside him. He remembered boardrooms. Child, defiant but weary. "Words don't fix nothing." Matter of fact, almost whisper. "No, they don't." The car rolls forward. Silence. Narrator, thoughtful. He thought of his own daughter, cushioned by privilege, never once forced to wonder if her life mattered. The contrast tore at him. Gently, almost fatherly. "Where were you going tonight?" Stiff, defensive, nowhere. Just away. From that house. From everything. Narrator, soft. "Do you have anyone? Family? Friends?" Whispering, fragile. "Just me now." Something cracked inside Richard. All his life he had built walls of money, of pride, of arrogance. But here was a child, stripped of everything, sitting in his car because she had nowhere else to go. "Aaliyah, you were right to tell me to shut up, because I haven't listened for most of my life, but I'm listening now, and I promise you, I will not forget what you've told me tonight. People like you always say things, then nothing changes. Resolute, steady, then I'll just have to prove I mean it." Narrator, calm, reflective. The city grew quieter, and for the first time, change didn't feel like a choice. It felt like a demand. Richard leaned closer, speaking softly, almost like a father. "It's okay to rest. You're safe here." Softer, child drifting to sleep. She hesitated, then let her eyes close. Richard sat in silence, watching this child